Each and every Monday is $9 Monday at WagerTalk.com. All daily picks packages are priced at only $9, including $40 5% best bets. As an added bonus, all new users will receive $25 in wager bucks credited to their accounts, available for immediate use after their initial $9 Monday purchase. So make sure to take advantage of $9 Mondays at WagerTalk.com.
All right, guys, welcome in. Here it is, the Monday edition of the College Basketball Tip-Off Show, powered by WagerTalk.com. We got a very light card here in college hoops today, but don't worry about it. We do have a few games that we've isolated we're going to break down for you. One of them also happens to be tomorrow, and it's a pretty big affair. We'll take a look at these 4 games here today. Not bad at all, in fact. We've got Virginia, Florida State, ACC battle. That's going to be good. Washington, Washington State. Maybe not as good. East Tennessee State, Chattanooga, that's one. And this one, TCU, Texas Tech, supposed to be today, but it is going to be played tomorrow, it appears, at some point. So we're going to go ahead, break that game down for you anyway, and we're going to do so with 3 of the very best in the business, that being Brian Leonard back in the house, Dave COKIN, and, of course, Ralph Michaels here with you. Take a look at their Twitter handles, guys. Absolutely worth following. All 3 of these gentlemen at B. Leonard Sports, at Dave COKIN, and, of course, at CALSPORTSLI for Ralph Michaels. And, Brian, welcome back, my man. Monday fun day. How was your weekend? And what do you got going on at WagerTalk.com on $9 Monday?
Yeah, actually, it's been a pretty good weekend. I did split out on Saturday. But a nice 4-on-1 day yesterday. We also won the free play on the Las Vegas Knights, a home underdog. So that was nice. Today, I've only got one play up. It's a hockey play. And if you've been following our hockey, we've been red hot in hockey. Just couldn't come up with a basketball play today. In fact, there's really only one game, and I think we'll be talking about it in a moment, that actually anybody cares about from a national perspective. But, hey, there's plenty of betting opportunities out there. Hopefully we can get you a winner.
All right, plenty of action there. Some interesting games here today, Dave. Should be fun, but how's your weekend been, and what do you got going on tonight?
Nondescript of the weekend. I think I won Friday, lost a little Saturday, broke even yesterday. I'm working on FCS. We got college football this weekend. There was a game this past week, McNeese and Tarleton, which if you were on the Tarleton side, you kind of had a bad beat in that one. But I'm working on personnel, garnering some knowledge of these teams, and hopefully we'll have some plays to make in college football as the FCS portion of the schedule gets underway. And, of course, college football, pretty good sport for me, so I'll be looking to keep things going there. I did not play any basketball today. I have one hockey game up for $9 Monday at WagerTalk. It's on the late game between the Sharks at home against the Ducks, and you can get it for $9 now on the site. Just opinions on basketball, and we'll get to those on the show.
Love it, yes, and loaded hockey card here today, and there's never a bad time for football either. Ralph, how you been, my man? What do you got going on today at WagerTalk.com? $9 Monday. How was your weekend?
I had one of those, let's have a Miller Lite Saturday, going 7-0 in college hoops. So Johnny tweeted that out. So it's been a great run, 21-9, and 4% bets just absolutely continuing to crush 69% over the last 60. I had one 4% play. That was a game that got canceled and postponed for tomorrow. So I don't have anything up. I'm going to take a look at some NBA plays, and I don't know if Will sees that and can put that up real quick. But, Dave, I'm with you working on the FCS, and I had told some people we may have an FCS show if perhaps you and Joe are willing, and we see when the lines come out. But, some games this week that we're talking about, we have Youngstown State at North Dakota State on Sunday. We're talking teams that would be favored by multiple points against MAC teams. So there is some quality football games on national TV this week for those people that aren't aware of the FCS. So we'll see if we can schedule something for the FCS schedule. Will, the man behind the scenes, what a great job. Look at the lineup for the FCS games this week, pretty strong. So we'll keep you in tune for that.
Yep, yeah, and you can anticipate it this week. We will, in fact, have an FCS show ready to rock and roll. Rob Vino will be there. Matt Josephs will be there. Ralph will be there. Dave COKIN will be there. Brian Leonard probably won't, though, because he didn't look too thrilled about the FCS, but that's okay. He's got hockey. He's got basketball. We got a lot of other things going on right now in the world of sports, but it's going to be fun to get a look at football again in the month of February and March. So good stuff coming your way here, guys. Make sure you hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Subscribe to Wager Talk TV, and, of course, never miss a show. Let's take a look at some of those top performances from over the weekend before we dive into our ACC matchup here today. And what was, Ralph, yesterday? Indiana State, Evansville there, Indiana State. Pulls off the win with a pretty good performance by Tyreek Key.
Yeah, that was my 4% play yesterday. So they were a small favorite. They did what they did on the earlier game on the first of back-to-back. So very happy. We needed those points. It was a close game for the first 35 minutes of the game. They pulled away the last 5 or 6 minutes.
Some of those covers from yesterday, some of the big covers, both in terms of the spread, and Elon taking it to College of Charleston there by a 19-point, and Nebraska eking out the win there with a 12-point cover. That was also pretty impressive there, Ralph.
Yeah, what was it, a 10 or 11 game losing streak for Nebraska? And I had faded them the game before against Rutgers. They were in it early, and it seems like they always played well for the first 30-some minutes and would fade down the stretch. They didn't yesterday. So when you have a team that's 0-10 or 0-11 and they keep battling, it's impressive.
They almost blew the game down the stretch. They managed to hit the last basket and got out of there, but they'd blown a big lead. And they ran off the court like they just won the Big Ten title, which from their standpoint they kind of did, because I forget the number of Big Ten losses in a row, but it was a lot. They got to go into Maryland tomorrow. They could get their asses kicked in that game tomorrow.
Yep, good chance there. Some of those overs and unders from a total perspective there yesterday. We keep seeing North Dakota, South Dakota showing up on these lists here. I believe that was back-to-back losses for South Dakota in that series. And, of course, that Drake-Loyola round 2 game was just fantastic, 51-50, 31.5 points under, Dave.
That was a tremendous performance by Drake, because they're missing Hemphill.
Yep.
They gotten completely blown out in the second half of the first meeting. And, I mean, there was a lot of pressure on Drake yesterday because, and again, it may not be the be-all and end-all, but the LEONARD ratings are really important, and the teams follow these closely. And LEONARD had them on the bubble in a situation where if they lost yesterday, they probably were dead as far as the tournament goes. And they came back in the second half and pulled out a 1-point win. That was really one of the most impressive wins I've seen this year, considering that Drake is minus a really important player, and Loyola is probably better than they are anyway. That was a good win by Drake, and they're back in decent position as far as making the NCAA tournament's concerned.
Yep, learned a little bit something about the heart and soul of that team for sure with that comeback win. So remember that, guys. Mark that game down. All right, let's take a look. I can't wait for this game here tonight in the ACC, guys. Virginia taking on Florida State. Virginia just keeps on rolling, and Florida State, well, them too. I mean, although not great against the number, 8-6 this season against the number. But man, oh man, I don't know. Can you get in front of this Virginia squad? It's a certainly a short enough number there, Brian. It's hard to say, oh, I can go with Florida State here. I understand it, but it's hard not to go with Virginia here, is it not?
I just want to touch on something that was mentioned earlier. I've known Mr. Michaels for 40 years. Every day is a Miller Lite day for Mr. Michaels.
That's a good point.
Yeah. Getting back to this game, it's a very interesting game. You take a look at history. 16 of the last 20 meetings between these two have gone under. The lines moved a little bit under. I believe it started at 130. Now it's down to like 128. You take a look at the way the Cavaliers have played. They've held their last two opponents to under 50 points. The last 4 opponents for Virginia have shot a combined 14 for 65 from distance. It's a team playing really good defense right now. Florida State actually had to go to overtime last time out against Wake Forest. They may have taken them a little bit easy and overlooked them a little bit, but they ranked 8th in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency, 15th in three-point percentage. So this is somewhat of a correlated parlay, if you ask me. I think if you like Virginia, you've got to be able to win the under. I think if you like Florida State, I think the game goes over. Florida State can hit some three-pointers. They're going to come away with the victory here, and I think it does go a little bit over, but I'm not going against this Virginia defense as good as they're playing lately. Once again, 14 of 65 from distance, the last 4 opponents. It's going to be a great game, and this is the one on the schedule. I think more people in the country will be watching this game as opposed to all the other games combined.
What are you looking at here in this game tonight here, Dave, as far as what Virginia, do you think the wrong team is favored here, or is Florida State the right team here to be up a point and a half?
Well, I mean, they're favored because they're at home. I think the matchup favors Virginia, but I like the situation better for Florida State, and I have a tendency to weigh that more, especially as we get into the late portion of the season. The game is not that big from an NCAA tournament standpoint. They're both going to be there. But obviously it means a lot to both teams. I'll dismiss the game against Wake Forest. They were coming out of a 2-week layoff due to COVID. Not much of an opponent. And I think they just took Wake Forest for granted. They got out of there with a win at least. Virginia's playing really good basketball. And again, look, Florida State's going to have to hit some outside shots against this team because of what Virginia does with that defense. I think they can do it, but I'm a little sketchy on that. And again, it ended up a conflict for me because the matchup to me does favor Virginia, but I think the scheduling dynamics and the situation do favor Florida State. Virginia's coming out of a big game. It's North Carolina's always a big game, and now they have to travel, and they've got Duke next. I guess I'll lean to Florida State. And that's about as good as you're going to get from me today because I don't like anything on this schedule.
Ralph, when you look at the total here, is this something that you're approaching given what we know about these two defenses here this year, or is the side you figure where might the edge be?
Well, Joe, would you be surprised if I told you Florida State has gone over 8 straight games? I mean, you look at their offense, and they're not even getting close on some games. They're flying over the total. So, you have to put that in perspective. And how about if I told you, I'm looking now, Virginia is 6-4 to the over their last 10 games. But we always know this. We always know Virginia's defense gets better as the season progresses, and he has them playing top-notch defense when it gets to March, as you should. Couple notes in this game. Florida State has a 23-game home win streak they're very, very proud of. Only Duke has a longer ACC home win streak, 26 games. So they're approaching record ACC games. And a note that doesn't matter at all to this handicapping, but I found it interesting as heck. Florida State beat Wake Forest, perhaps a live betting situation. Florida State beat Wake Forest in overtime on Saturday. That is their 11th straight overtime win. That is the longest in NCAA history. No team in college basketball history has ever won 11 straight games in overtime. So is it coaching? Is it just they were the better team and underachieved? We'll see. The one thing that sticks out to me is Virginia plays incredible defense, but they do give up some three-point shots. They are number 105 in three-point defense, while Florida State is number 15 on offense. I give that edge to Florida State. A hell of a game. I hate to even give a lean on it because I'm going to watch and just love playing it. If I had to pick a side, it would be Florida State. They will keep that home win streak. You look at Virginia on the road, at Georgia Tech, weren't really tested. At NC State, they pushed. At Virginia Tech, they lost against the spread their last 3.
What was that streak on Duke?
Florida State has a 23-game home win streak in the ACC, and Florida State has won 11 straight overtime games, the most in college basketball history.
No, you mentioned something on Duke.
I think you said 27.
No, Duke holds the record with 26 straight.
The record
in the ACC.
I didn't know that was the record. Okay.
In the
ACC. That's an ACC record.
Yep.
That might be something that's meaningful. I mean, to have a chance to approach that record, I think it's one of those little under the radar things that I think is interesting.
Put an asterisk next to it, guys. Good stuff. It's going to be a hell of a game here tonight, Virginia, Florida State. This next game, maybe not so much in the Pac-12 here, as Washington and Washington State are going to do battle. Washington State, 7.5-point favorite. It opens up. Total right around that 141.5. And, you know, Dave, we were about a month into the season. We're like, Washington's not a very good team. Washington State, a lot of people did think we're a good team. Neither one of these are very good teams, though. So how do you approach this game tonight?
Well, I think one of these teams is pretty good because they're very well coached, and that's Washington State. Washington is I don't know how else to say it. I guess Mike Hopkins, I guess he's safe. I don't know, but they have spectacularly underachieved. It's not that this was supposed to be a great team coming in, but the original power rating on KenPom, which is it's as good as anybody in terms of your power ratings going into the season. They were number 72. They're now number 168. They showed some heart in the game against UCLA, made it a real battle on Saturday, but came up short. They've now lost 5 in a row since getting the win over the upset wins over Utah and Colorado. I don't want any part of Washington under any circumstances, basically, at this point. They're just a bad basketball team. They don't have good chemistry. Basically, they've got one player in Green who's really good, and the rest of the team kind of sucks. Washington State, listen, they're not going to make the tournament or anything like that. I mean, they're 12-9, they're 5-9 in the conference, but you're just seeing a lot more fight out of this team. Kyle Smith's doing a nice job with, a roster that's not real good at this point. Bonton's a very nice player, unfortunately. Well, I don't know. He might be back. I don't know what the situation is going to be there because he's a senior, but the rule this year. And I don't know if he's an NBA guy, so who knows as far as that goes. But the main thing is they're playing hard almost every game. And to me, it's just a matter of one team seems to be bringing it on a game-by-game basis. The other one, you never know. So, I mean, Washington State beat up Washington on the road. So maybe there's a revenge factor in the rivalry, but I can't count on it. I'd have to lean to the Washington State side.
Yeah, Ralph, and the first time they played, 139 points was the total, and I think they scored 140.5 was the total. They scored 139. You're right around that number here now. Do you anticipate any more scoring or less scoring in this rivalry?
Well, I think Washington State's offense has gotten better. With that, I'm going to say this. I mean, against USC, they scored 65, and they went 3 of 25 shooting threes. So you shoot 3 of 25, and the game still went over the total. So, I'm going to take my part of this segment and something Dave said, and I just want to give you some numbers because it's so valuable now, late in February, when we have teams like these two teams that aren't going to go to the tournament and they're deciding how to finish this season. In Washington State, you had an upgraded head coach in Kyle Smith who came in last year, got him to 500 at 16-16, something they didn't often do, and now has him at 12-9, a very positive upward momentum. On the flip side, you have Hopkins, who came in 21 wins his first year, 27 wins his second year, down to 15 last year, and down to 3 this year. Dave said he's safe. We'll see what the case is. But clearly, which coach and which positive momentum situation do you want to play for? I put a lot of credence in that when these type of teams are playing. There's still an in-state rivalry. Washington State won the first. Boy, Bonton put everything into it that last game, and he looked exhausted at the end of the game. Tweaked his ankle. He's listed as probable. So, if he's going to go and Washington State off that miserable performance shooting threes, they're going to improve against the Washington defense. I lean with the Cougars as well.
Leaning with the Cougars. And how about it, Brian? Which way are you going to go here from a total perspective, a side perspective? The market seems to be moving upward on the total.
David talked earlier about Nebraska getting that win, running off the court and excitement. That's how I felt about my play on the Washington Huskies on Saturday against UCLA. I was happy to get out of there with a win.
Yeah.
It took a big lead in the first half, and it was just one of those games where you knew UCLA was coming back and Washington was going to find a way to lose. I'm just glad that game didn't go 3 more minutes or I would have had a loser, because it's just one of those games where they were holding on for dear life to get that cover. I think I learned my lesson there. I won't be on them tonight. The Huskies have yet to win a game on the road. Their narrowest loss on the season was by 5 points. 12 of the last 13 opponents they've played against has an offensive points per possession of over 1. They're just not playing very good defense. Defense overall ranks 345th in the country in keeping the opposition off the offensive glass. But do I really want to bet the Cougars here? They've padded their record against non-conference foes. They're only 5-9 in Pac-12 play. 2-4 straight up at home, with their largest win coming by 8 points. I hate to lay middling to bad basketball teams laying more points than what they've beaten anybody else at home by the rest of the season. I'm torn on this one. Luckily, I don't have to play it. You would expect Washington State to win this game, but I just don't trust them. They haven't been winning in blowouts this year. I'll be passing on this contest.
All right, guys, don't pass on the opportunity, though. $9 Monday. Make sure you head over to WagerTalk.com. Take advantage now. Dave's got his an NHL play up there right now. Ralph coming out of just an amazing weekend in college basketball. And of course, Brian, he's ready to rock and roll. NHL this year has also been just unbelievable, so profitable. Take advantage. $9. Go get the best bets tonight at WagerTalk.com. Let's take a look at this East Tennessee State Chattanooga here game. Ralph, it's 1 point. The first time they played, which I think was on the 6th of this month, it was a 2-point victory there for Chattanooga. They're going for the season sweep here. It is, in your mind, still a pick-em in this contest?
Yeah, well, I'm going to say this first. My best bet for today is on the under, and that is an actual client play. It's only a 2% play, so I don't have anything for sale today, but I did use the 2% under in this game. And, I believe East Tennessee State should be favored, but you look at the records. Chattanooga 16-5, East Tennessee State 11-8. Why is that? Well, that was all non-conference play. Chattanooga played a very easy non-conference schedule, went 9-0. In conference play, East Tennessee State is 8-4, Chattanooga 7-5. And the new Wager Talk College basketball stat sheet got put up today. I updated all the numbers. They're updated through Sunday. Let's take a look at this game via the stat report. Eastern Tennessee's played the 150th conference schedule. They're plus 6.5 points per game. Chattanooga's played the 165th schedule, 15 spots worse, and they're minus 0.1 points per game. So a 6.5 edge at East Tennessee, and rebounding is huge. East Tennessee has an 8.2 rebound per game difference in conference play. You have the number 1 offensive team in East Tennessee State and the number 3 defensive team. I was close to using East Tennessee to get the win here and to revenge that home loss from a bit ago. They're number 2 in the conference. I think they get it done. They're a slow tempo team. I think Chattanooga keeps that slow tempo with them. Chattanooga's in the 250s as well. So I like East Tennessee State, and I like the under. The under is my best bet for the end of the show.
All right, good stuff. Bryce, Southern Conference has been dominated over the years by East Tennessee State. An opportunity maybe to swing the pendulum the other way with Chattanooga. How are you going to go?
Yeah, you talked about the previous meeting, a 67-65 win by Chattanooga. That game was 9 days ago. But in that game, the Buccaneers shot 12 of 23 from distance. I don't expect that to happen again here. What I really like in low line games where it's basically a pick 'em or close to a pick 'em, I like to look at what teams do from the foul line and how often they foul. And the Mocs rank 9th in the country in defensive free throw rate. They don't do a lot of fouling. They don't put the opposition on the line. But when Chattanooga gets to the line, they're 13th offensively in free throw percentage. It's 78.8. So if the game's tight down the stretch, I prefer Chattanooga. And I think this is going to be a close game here. Ralph said he leaned East Tennessee State. I kind of lean Chattanooga here. not enough to make it a play. In fact, I don't have any plays on today's card for my clients, but I like the Chattanooga situation. If the game comes down to the end, where I trust them when it comes to foul shooting and not committing fouls.
And Dave, I mean, he's got a point there. Foul shooting, certainly in this situation, two teams that know each other. Who do you trust more in this matchup?
Well, I think Jason Shea's done a great job at East Tennessee State this year. This was a terrific program last year, but you got a first-year coach who inherited a team with 0 returning starters. So they were 30-4 last year, but they figured to maybe drop down quite a bit this year. They haven't dropped down as much as I thought. I mean, despite the fact they've got 4 transfers and a freshman playing, they've rounded into form and become a halfway decent team in conference. They're not in great form right now. They've lost 3 of the last 5, but they've been playing some quality competition there as well. They do have the revenge from the 2-point loss to Chattanooga at home. I have a tendency to like road dogs who are looking to avenge a very close home loss. I usually add a point to them when the rematch takes place. So this is a game where if I had gotten 3, if I had gotten +3, I'd have taken East Tennessee State. +1, not getting what I want. So I'm going to stay out of it, but I will break the tie, and I'll go on Ralph's side here, and I'll take the Buccaneers of East Tennessee State for a guess.
All right. Well, there you go. It's going to be the Southern Conference. Who knew we'd have a split there? All right, one more game on the board here, guys. We want to go ahead and cover. It's going to happen tomorrow. It was supposed to happen today, but Texas got this thing called snow. They're not really sure what to do with it. So let's see what we've got here with Texas Tech TCU. This game will be played tomorrow, Ralph, if I'm not mistaken, but it may be earlier in the day is what they are saying. Texas Tech, 12.5 points is what it was listed at. Total at 136.5. Texas Tech coming off of that tough loss to West Virginia. And, of course, TCU over the weekend got run over by Texas here. So, Ralph, how do you approach this game a day later? Anything different from the handicapping perspective other than what we have with these two teams?
No, I mean, Texas Tech was there already, so it was no issue. They didn't want to have a game when they have a warning and they couldn't they didn't want people driving around, even though they have very few fans. Some of the Big 12 teams do have fans, and they just didn't want anyone coming to the game. I'm going to look at Texas Tech and say, wow, this defense is good, and the offense seems efficient, and their KenPom numbers are great. But this team is still 4-11 their last 15 against the spread. They don't get margin. Chris Beard isn't concerned about covering double digits on the road, especially when you're going to play the same team at home the next day. While Texas Tech to me is a team that can certainly make a deep run, and when you have a point guard like McClung, the Georgia transfer, and you have Terrence Shannon, you have multiple players that can lead you in scoring any given day. To me, they just don't blow out enough teams to make it. The only way I can lean with this game is TCU, and while their numbers haven't been great, I just look at Texas Tech's body of work, look at how many times they've beaten teams in double digits, and I'm not going to lay it on the road with us again, especially when you're playing a team in 24 hours again.
I want to jump in because I don't know where this game's being played, because Circa has it posted tomorrow, and they've got the game at Texas Tech, and Texas Tech 12.5. I honestly don't know where the game's being played, and I can't imagine they would make a mistake like that. So I guess I'll check after the show, and maybe one of you guys can check while we're doing this. But
I'm checking right now.
I'm looking at right now.
They've got it as Texas Tech as the home team. So
it says TCU's home game against Texas Tech. Oh, here you go, Dave and Joe. Sorry. This just got posted. TCU's home game against Texas Tech Monday has been rescheduled to Thursday.
Oh, there
TCU
you go.
will play at Texas Tech on Tuesday.
Yep.
So, Dave, nice call. Circa is correct, and they flopped the home dates.
Yeah, and that puts me in no man's land, because while you were talking about it, I'm thinking, geez, 12.5 at home. That's pretty good. Unfortunately, it's not. But the same stuff kind of holds true. Texas Tech really hasn't been a margin team this year. You look at their wins: 11 over Kansas State, which can't play; 5 over Oklahoma; 5 with a big comeback at LSU; 2 over Texas. They did beat the crap out of Iowa State; 11 over Kansas State. TCU is not horrible. And to me, it just looks like one of those games where Texas Tech's going to win the game, but you're going to be life and death to cover that number. I can tell you that I doubt very much I'll consider Texas Tech. And from a scheduling situation, I don't think I like it for TCU. They just got, it's just not what you want. So that's a big pass for me.
And Bry, what are your initial thoughts on the game? I mean, they've been very competitive, TCU, against some of the better competition in the conference. How do you think they line up here, TCU?
Yeah, with the change of venue, the snow down in Texas, I think we have to take anything we talk about in this game with a grain of salt, because you don't know what the situation is at this point. But I think we're catching Texas Tech right here with a little bit of an advantage. They're off that highly publicized loss a week ago when they were hosting West Virginia, the game where the coach went nuts and started going crazy at the end of the game trying to fire his team up. A game which the Mountaineers had an 83 free throw rate. That means they were going to the free throw line all night long. Texas Tech couldn't catch a break. The defensive points per possession for Texas Tech was the second worst of the year. Their worst was a previous meeting against West Virginia. This is a team that just does not match up well with West Virginia. So now we're looking at them having lost to the Mountaineers twice, coming into this game pretty fired up, and they've had some time to get over what happened the other day. Texas Tech's dropped 6 of 8 as of late, and they're 0-6 straight up against top 30 opposition this year. Don't want Texas Christian. I do lean Texas Tech, but all the uncertainty is going to keep me off of this game, and I think we'll read a little bit more about it, and good thing it's tomorrow, so we can get a little bit more information in this contest.
All right, good stuff here, guys. We'll go around the horn here for some best bets. We'll take a look at our friends from the Gold Sheet, but I will remind you, it is $9 Monday here at WagerTalk.com. Best bets posted up and ready to rock and roll at WagerTalk.com with Brian Leonard, Dave Kokin, and Ralph Michaels. Just $9 if you head over to the pages at WagerTalk.com. Love $9 Monday. Great opportunity for you guys to hop on. Make it a profitable night here at Wager Talk. $9 Monday. Head over to their pages now and let us take a look at what we got from our friends from the Gold Sheet here today. Ralph, it appears Eastern Kentucky, EKU, over Tennessee Tech today is the Gold Sheet play of the day.
Joe, I do want our viewers to know this. I PDF the entire Gold Sheet for today. So if you go to my Twitter earlier today, you're going to see all of their write-ups for today, all of their matchups. Take a look at the last 5 games that they have, the numerical stats and records for the last 5 games. So you can basically look at today's entire Gold Sheet, all on my Twitter at CalSportsLV. I posted it about 7:30 a.m. Pacific time. So just go back in my timeline a little bit and read through how much information the Gold Sheet gives you each and every day.
All right, good stuff there. And obviously a very light card here today, guys. But let's start with you, Brian. I don't know if there was a game here you might have circled here that you got to lean one way or the other.
Yeah, once again, it's not a card that I love here, but I'm going to fade the line movement in the Hampton-Longwood game. It opened 5.5. Now I'm seeing 4s. I think Circa's at 3.5. I think it's time to jump in here on Longwood. Hampton Pirates beat Presbyterian 62-57 on Friday. They held them to 1 of 20 from 3-point range. The game before that against the Blue Hose, they lost by 15. The prior game at home against them. So they split that series against Presbyterian, but they were the worst team in that regard. Hampton ranks 298th in offensive adjusted efficiency, not a good offensive team. This Longwood team's playing much better as of late. They've won 5 of 6. They should be good at home as a home favorite because they rank 54th defending from 3-point range. And a lot of times teams fall behind on the road. They start shooting up the threes, and Longwood is very good in defending that. They won 5 straight home games. This is a team giving me a lot of confidence, playing a team that I think is a little bit overrated because of that 1 for 20 from yesterday's game from 3-point range. I'll lay the points here with Longwood. It's gotten down to 3.5 or 4. I think that's a cheap number.
Yep, big number, too. Keep going the other way for sure. All right, Dave, what game? Obviously not a big card here, but is there something you're leaning to one way or the other?
No, but I got to give something, so I'll give Florida State. I actually agree with Brian. I think that Longwood is starting to offer some value at 3.5 or 4, but I send in Florida State for the best bet on the show. If you're listening right now, I'm not betting it myself, not for a penny. So you want to tail it, go ahead, but I'm not doing it myself.
Does have a best bet in the NHL, though, for $9. Just let me throw that out there if you head over to WagerTalk.com. Ralph, you already gave us your best bet, but just reiterate it one more time for folks that might have missed it.
Joe, I got a question. Was your NBA shot clock finger about to go off on Brian? Do you have that mentally in your head?
I can tell you the guys
it's been a minute, Brian. Let's go.
They're in my ear going, should I buzz him? Should I buzz him? Oh, he's good. Leave him alone. He's good.
Since I already gave you my best bet on the under, I will say this. On Saturday, I did have Mississippi Valley State on my card again as a 3% client play. They were down about 19. They scored the last 4 points to get me a cover. So best bet, East Tennessee, Chattanooga, under the total. That is a 2% client play. The only thing I have up. I have nothing for sale today.
8 of the last 10 between Florida State and Virginia have hit the under. This series in the last 10, averaging only 113 points a game. It's like watching paint dry when pace. I got to go under 130 in this matchup here today between Virginia and Florida State tonight. Let's take another look one more time at the recap of those best bets for you guys so you can take a look, including our friends at the Gold Sheet there who like Eastern Kentucky laying the 7.5. I'm going under Virginia FSU. Brian's going Longwood at this point. Dave agrees with him, laying 3.5. If you can get it, guys, might not be a bad time to jump on it. Florida State, Dave is leaning but did not bet it at 1.5. And Ralph, East Tennessee State under 132.5. Again, $9 Mondays, guys. Opportunity for you to go get the best bets right now. Posted at their pages. That's Brian Leonard, Dave Kokin, Ralph Michaels. Go take advantage of it. Grab those best bets tonight for just $9 at WagerTalk.com. And on behalf of Brian Leonard, Dave Kokin, Ralph Michaels, I'm Joe Raineri. Guys, thank you so very much for stopping by. Hit that bell in the upper right-hand corner. Come back and join us tomorrow. We'll break it all down again for you. Another full card in college hoops. So best of luck with your plays, guys. We'll talk to you tomorrow.